Okay, are you seeing the screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, as I said, thank you so much, Kristen, for inviting me here this evening. And thank you all for having me. And just quickly, an agenda for the meeting tonight. So we'll have a quick introduction to the Quick Build Guide that we'll be covering this evening. And then we'll talk about what is Quick Build, why are cities implementing Quick Build, how are they implementing Quick Build, and what happens after implementation. And at the end, we'll leave some time for a Q&A. So just a brief introduction to the Quick Build Guide. ALTA Planning and Design developed this guide back in 2020, really as a response to the pandemic when cities were looking for ways to quickly adjust their streets to create safer biking and walking routes and safe spaces for outdoor seating in the midst of the pandemic. But it's just as relevant as ever. In the Quick Build Guide, it includes chapters on planning, on design, implementation, and maintenance of Quick Build facilities. It also includes a material selection and installation guide, as well as additional resources. And there's a link here in the PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if Kristen or Devin, you could maybe add that to the chat so people can access to the guide after this presentation.
Will do.
So what is Quick Build? Quick Build projects install bicycle, pedestrian, or traffic safety improvements using low-cost materials that can be installed quickly. Quick Build projects are not pop-up or demonstration projects that are intended to be removed after just a short period of time. But once a project is accepted by the community, Quick Build projects can last for years if maintained, or they can be rebuilt using more durable materials. The key to Quick Build is about delivering projects in months rather than years. There's several different types of Quick Build facilities. One of them is protected bikeways that you can see in these photos here. And as you can see, there's a range of materials that can be used to create these bikeways, which we'll cover a little bit later in the presentation. Quick Build projects can also include pedestrian plazas or outdoor seating spaces using a range of low-cost materials like paint and planters. Sometimes Quick Build projects can use prefabricated materials like the raised crosswalk and bus boarding platform seen here. These are low-cost, simple materials to install that can be used for some time before upgrading to more durable materials. And although Quick Build projects are meant to last for up to several years, sometimes the use of very simple materials like traffic cones can create a temporary designated space before the project is built. And you'll see here there's several different types of barriers that can be used for these facilities. So why Quick Build? Well, first and foremost, Quick Build offers a lower cost and a quicker option for implementing bicycle, pedestrian, and traffic safety projects. It also offers a flexible approach to making these improvements. With Quick Build, communities get to see and adjust what works on the ground rather than in theory. Unlike concrete infrastructure, Quick Build street designs can be adapted. During installation, the city can say, we're just trying this. An evaluation and review becomes part of the process, and community feedback on the design can become part of the eventual project if the public is supportive of making the facility permanent. The Quick Build projects offer several opportunities, from making key network connections to creating new community gathering spaces. As seen before, they can be pedestrian facilities, they can be outdoor dining spaces, bicycle facilities. So there's really a range of different options. And often they can be used to address existing safety concerns. So projects that have been identified in different plans using existing data. And they can also be used to connect key destinations in the city network. So how to quick build, and we'll spend the majority of our time here. So the guide covers a number of considerations for implementing quick build projects. The first is to set and communicate project goals. So with community input, determine what the priorities are for your city. Are they safe biking and walking routes or new community gathering spaces? All of these are possible with quick build facilities. The second is to take stock of available resources. There are likely at least some existing resources, knowledge, and labor available within the city that can contribute to various stages of a quick build project. Where possible, identify these options first and plan for how they can be used. The third is to take advantage of predictable opportunities. So regular street maintenance provides a good opportunity to make small changes to streets. Knowing your repaving schedule so that you can take advantage of this opportunity can be great to add new crosswalks or bike lane buffers, etc., that can save both money and time. And then finally, using existing contracts when in-house resources are limited can be really effective. From data collection to public outreach, many different tasks and skills go into the quick build projects. And if you need consultant support where possible, using on-call contracts can help avoid a new bid solicitation process for each new project, making them easier to implement as projects come up and funding becomes available. So there's a number of organizational strategies that we can talk about when developing a team to implement these facilities. So the size and composition of the team will depend on the community and the scale of the project. But typically, it should include a key coordinator or project manager, different municipal staff such as transportation planners and engineers, and representatives from other departments like the fire department, or if streets need to be barricaded at any time when constructing these facilities. And then of course, community leaders, including different community champions, business leaders, and representatives from community-based organizations is critical for the success of these projects. So community partners, as I mentioned, are critical to the success of these projects. Community partners can help identify priority projects, drive community support and interest, and communicate different project updates. Because quick build projects are designed to be interim, aspects of the design can be removed or changed based on community input. This ongoing process enables community members to help steer the planning, implementation, and evaluation of the network in the long term, particularly if there's support for making the facilities permanent. But it's important to note that the accelerated timeline associated with quick build projects requires frequent and clear communication and coordination. Engagement efforts should be ongoing, beginning during the planning phase and continuing through implementation to evaluation. Creating a clear channel for communication, both internally and between departments.
Y es importante crear
is really key. The quick build projects should still follow transportation best practices like understanding community priorities, building off of existing plans and data, and choosing strategic projects that create critical network connections or address existing safety issues. This graphic here is from a recent active transportation plan that ALTA had put together that really highlights the different steps that go into creating an active transportation plan. And several of these steps are very relevant when identifying different quick build projects. So connecting key destinations, focusing on long-term planning goals that the city has, or sometimes just identifying key spot improvements that would help safety, help create safe streets. So material selection. The materials are a very important part of quick build projects. They determine the duration of time a project lasts once it's constructed, and it can also influence the public's perception of the project. The materials used can range from short-term items like traffic cones, the traffic barriers. I'm sorry, is there a way to mute? Thank you so much. So materials can range from short-term items, so traffic cones or barriers, to more durable long-term items like concrete barriers, as you'll see here. And the type of materials can also affect the type of manpower that's needed for installation. So volunteers can be used for a majority of the materials that can be quickly applied or installed. However, any materials that need equipment to be installed will need to be professionally installed, which will bring some additional costs. And then finally, traffic conditions can influence the type of materials that are used in quick build projects. Some areas with higher traffic may require more durable materials, whereas areas with lower traffic stress can be safely delineated with less durable materials, making them safe for people walking and biking. And then maintenance also plays a key role in material selection. Quick build facilities are similar to permanent facilities. However, they have an advantage of quickly being adjusted based on feedback after being installed. Material selection also determines the number of times a material needs to be replaced or refreshed. For example, some prefabricated materials need to be replaced more often if they can be damaged from other more durable materials that may require less maintenance. So for bike facilities in particular, they're usually created with a combination of paint, of tape, and delineators. And there's various different types of these materials of paint and of tape that can be used that are all shown in the quick build guide. The guide covers a number of different options, as well as the various considerations that go into choosing the right type of material. And then, as you can see in the photo delineators, they're there to both reinforce safety and create the buffer zone between bikes or people walking and vehicles in the street. So shared spaces, they can include slow streets, shared streets, and local street bikeways. Shared space facilities typically use traffic calming measurements to reduce vehicles to manageable speeds. While we're used to seeing some more permanent traffic calming interventions, there's now plenty of examples and processes for traffic calming measures that can be quickly installed. And as you can see in the photo here, for example, there's traffic circles that can be configured using a combination of delineators, rubber curbs, and paint. There's also prefabricated materials as what's shown in the photo here. Prefabricated temporary speed humps and raised crosswalks can be quickly installed. And if these interventions function successfully and are well received, they can potentially be upgraded to more permanent materials. So as I mentioned, there's a material selection and installation guide in the appendix of the Quick Build Guide. It provides detailed information on the use, the application, installation, and maintenance of typical materials used on these projects. It also highlights the general implications for using each material listed in the guide. And the guide also draws really from a handful of successful cities across the country in various stages, across North America, really, that show examples of different quick build methods and strategies. And one example is from the city of Toronto, which shows how cities can be resourceful in identifying quick build materials in an efficient and cost-effective way. The city of Toronto looked to existing stockpiles and leveraged readily available materials when making material selections for their quick build projects. Most of the projects in their city were completed with temporary materials that were already used and familiar, like paint and bollards, as well as concrete separators. And you can see in the image here, the concrete curb that was used. So the guide includes a number of different resources for quick build designs and other considerations. And there's just a few of them listed here. And if you look through the guide, you'll see them there as well. It's just additional resources and information. So pricing. Quick build materials costs are significantly cheaper than more permanent materials. This table here shows example cost estimates from a recent Southern California project that developed a high and a low, and by low, quick build range for different pedestrian and bicycle projects. You can see that the high range unit prices for a curb extension and protected bikeway are several more times expensive than the quick build range. The high end assumes the use of concrete, whereas the quick build facility assumes paint and delineator posts. Typically, design, engineering, and construction costs are also lower because of several key assumptions. Quick build facilities typically don't require the city to reconstruct the road, to move the curb, or move utility poles or impact drainage patterns. So all of these really take out a significant element of design. And then construction costs are also kept low because of how quickly the facilities can be implemented. So instead of months, the project can typically be implemented in a matter of days, which significantly reduces staffing costs. And finally, it can, most of these facilities, as mentioned before, can be implemented using volunteer or existing staff resources. And so if many materials don't require the use of a contractor, it can really save additional costs. So there are a number of different funding opportunities for these projects. Of course, they vary from one municipality to the next. But a couple of ideas are local and regional funds, such as the general funds, sales tax revenue, air quality management district funds, et cetera. Those are often used in several cities across the country in the case studies that we looked at in our guide. And then California's Active Transportation Program, they piloted a special quick build project in their last cycle in 2020. And as Kristen can speak to more, they will be having their next call for projects this March with applications due in June that will also include a quick build component. And then from a private source, the AARP includes a community challenge grant that provides small grants to fund quick action projects. And those can be used to fund quick build projects. And this is just a couple of examples. Yeah. There's many, many more out there. Just a few options. So our last section here is just what happens after implementation. The data collection is a really critical piece to the quick build facilities. After the facilities are built, community members should be encouraged to provide feedback on their design and function and suggest improvements or modifications for consideration. This qualitative data can be captured using an online web tool or via online and hard copy post-implementation surveys. This really presents an opportunity for the community to shape the future of the facility, both in terms of its design and its lifespan. Like the pre-implementation and implementation phases, community members should be encouraged to identify opportunities for new and improved facilities, which can help build out the network in a way that best meets the community's needs. There's also quantitative data collection that is really critical in these quick build facilities. So in addition to capturing qualitative data through community feedback, collecting quantitative data such as bicycle and pedestrian counts, changes to travel time, and changes to vehicle speeds can help evaluate the new facility and determine whether the improvements should be made permanent. The data can also help just inform future decisions and priorities about what types of facilities are most needed. So this data-informed decision-making will really help determine which projects should be upgraded to more durable materials and which projects need design changes to best accommodate community needs. And some of the key questions that the community and the city can ask is the facility safe? Is it well used? Is it well liked by the community? And are there any changes needed to the design to make it better suit the community? And if the facility is well liked and it's working well, there's an opportunity to choose permanent materials to make it a longer term facility rather than just a quick build project. And then finally, quick build projects offer an opportunity to implement different programming elements. So quick build can be integrated into existing safe routes to school efforts, for an example, through a combination of traffic calming, expanded pedestrian space, different bicycle facilities. Quick build offers communities an opportunity to create environments that support and enable children to walk, scoot, and bike to school. And they offer an opportunity to incorporate these into existing safe routes to school efforts. So any new facilities, ways to encourage kids to use these facilities to get to school. There's other programming opportunities to encourage people to use these spaces, and especially if they're bicycle facilities, they include free or reduced bike share programs or bicycle encouragement programs, all of which will make sure that these facilities get well used, are well used, and are also able to get the appropriate level of community feedback to determine if they should be made permanent. And with that, that is all of my slides. So would love to hear any questions you might have.